This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to The Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast. Since 2015, I am back here in the lovely studios of Pod Populi, podcasts for the people. A couple episodes ago, we did a episode about rom-coms. You guys remember that? We were talking about romantic comedies, and one of the things came up was the phrase, "You had me at hello," from Jerry Maguire. Is that right? And I got to thinking about that, and I thought that, well, that sounds very nice, but the problem is we got a lot of trouble saying hello. We don't say hello anymore. We don't look at each other anymore. We're very, very bad at that initial encounter. And one of the challenges that have people moved into online dating over the last 10, 15 years is that initial encounter doesn't really, you're kind of slowly easing into it. You have a little bit of banter and a little bit of communication, and then maybe, hopefully, you meet offline. And so it's a little bit different from that, "Hi, nice to meet you. Hi, how are you?" So I wanted to talk about that because the old adage, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. I'm terrible at first impressions. I'm the worst, like handshake, eye contact, all of the basic tenets of what you should or should not do. I'm bad. So I had to bring in a pro today who's going to help us with all sorts of things, from body language to confidence to, like I said, just saying hello. He is the host of The People Business, which is a brand new podcast. He's the founder of Serve-Centric Coaching. Frank Favaro, how are you?
I am excellent. Excited to be here.
We've all heard and been told since the time we were 9 years old, stand up straight, shake people's hands, make eye contact. Why is it so challenging for us to make that part of our normal habit and routine? Why is it just not second nature to everybody?
I think we're just so preoccupied with everything else going on in life today. It's just like, we know these things, right? But the biggest gap in life is knowing something and doing it. That is
our
the
distraction
challenge.
leads us to not be able to focus for 5 seconds in initial encounter.
100%. Yeah, we are so distracted with everything else.
So that's only going to get worse, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Until we start creating that awareness.
Yeah. And the second part of that is the handshake part. Obviously, people are in no man's land now. The amount of awkwardness, and I'm not even just talking about when most people now, I think the ones that are open to dating and are going into a positive attitude, when they meet the person for the first time, let's just say they've met them online somewhere, they do hug. Most people hug on that first encounter, and it's a good thing. It's a good bond. Now, nobody wants to touch each other. I've had, I don't know how many business meetings in the last couple of months, and it's like, are we handshaking? Are we fist bumping? Are we bowing? Or what are we doing? So now you're adding another layer of awkwardness into something that wasn't going that well in the first place.
It's so true. It's like you go in for a handshake, and then you change it to a fist bump, then you change it to an elbow bump, and then it's almost like you've been in the grocery store before, where you see somebody coming straight towards you, so you go right, they go right. Right, you go left, they go left, right at the exact same time.
It's what I've been calling the hesitancy of hello, and it's such a challenge now because you're thinking about something. You bring up the distraction thing. You're thinking about something that has very little to do with, I'm meeting you now. I'm saying hello to you. It's, how do I say hello to you? What are we doing here? Are they comfortable? And you're doing a lot of math in your head about the whole thing. It's made an already naturally uncomfortable situation even worse. And that could be business. That could be, I'd like you to meet my friend. And certainly in the dating world, when you're a little bit nervous and now you're overthinking, like, what are they okay with? We used to think about what are they okay with at the end of the night. Now it's what are they okay with at the beginning of the night. And it's really complicated.
It really is. Yeah. And, and I've experienced it also. I mean, and even, coaching people on people skills and making impressions. This pandemic has changed everything, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's because everyone has a different feel of what they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Prior, we were all somewhat on the same page.
Right.
Now it's all over the place. So I always, as we're making that, I'm coming towards you and we are making this first impression, I will say, are we shaking as I go in? Mm-hmm. And that way I know, are we, how are we? So I think it's just being open and being transparent up front and like having that communication more than anything else.
I know we're communicating about how to communicate, which I suppose is not a bad thing. Some people want no part of a phone call. Some people want to be texted. Some people want to be messages. Some people, you got to get in touch with them through TikTok videos. I don't know. It's never a bad thing to say my preferred method of communication is, and then let the other person go with that. And we used to do that only for business meetings, but I think that matters for dating and relationships too. How can somebody who is not good at it, like I'm introverted, I am shy, if there's a room full of strangers, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want my Uber guy to talk to me. I don't want, and I'm aware that that's bad, and I'm aware that that's a negative. How does somebody who doesn't have those natural social skills, and we get a lot of communications about that, especially from the men. The men are just like, I'm not that big a personality. I'm uncomfortable in a room. I'm comfortable approaching a woman. How do you find that, or how do you train yourself to just be better?
I think it really starts with not thinking about yourself and thinking about the other person. So how we come across to others is really more about what we say or what we feel and how we make them feel about themselves. So that's really what is important. How do we make people feel about themselves in our presence more than anything else?
How do you make them feel about themselves? But I want to explain that. I don't understand that.
So you get in let's say I'm an Uber driver.
Yeah.
Right? Now, as an Uber driver, I'm here to serve you.
Right.
I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to lead. So how are you today? Is everything good? Did you, typically, are you just getting off a flight, let's say?
Right. Where'd you come from?
Where did you come from? Did you have a nice flight into San Antonio or Boca or wherever, And you're going to answer me. I mean, we could even role play this right now.
Yeah, I would be like, I want the Uber default to be don't talk to me, and then I have to hit a setting if I do want you to talk to me.
Okay. So I'm the Uber driver. How was your flight today?
It was good. It was fine.
Excellent. Are you in Boca on business or are you on vacation?
Listen, I got to make a phone call, so...
Absolutely. In fact, I have a phone charger back there.
Yeah, I know. I'm good. Yeah, I know. And then it goes from there. And then they try and be friendly, or it's bad. Like, I get it. I went through this yesterday with an Uber driver. He could not stop talking. He's just like, I'm not talking now. I'm not talking. We're going to get you to the airport. Like this running monologue that he had going, and it made me so uncomfortable. He's not wrong to try and engage with somebody who is in his vehicle, but I'm just trying to get a ride. So we're kind of in no man's land. It's like this weird standoff. And so I'm trying to give don't talk to me signals, put the headphones on, sort of like when you even get on an airplane. Like my worst nightmare is I get into, 8D and the guy in 8C is like, so where are you headed? And I'm like, oh God, we're all headed to the same place.
Right.
I'm not that person. That's not a good social skill by any means. It's better to be the other way around. I am envious of those people. But if you don't have that, and you don't want to be phony, you don't want to totally change your personality if it's not about you, how can you work a room? Yes. How can you network? It is a skill.
It's a skill. But
I started to say, like, I don't believe we've met before. I'm like, take the lead on it. Like, get out front of the conversation so you're almost in more control of it than waiting for somebody to talk to you.
Well, they've done studies on this, and human beings who have more beneficial, authentic, is the key word, relationships are happier people in life. Happier people. The people who have less relationships in life are shown to be more depressed. So more relationships. Let's be honest here. If you're giving off that vibe in the Uber driver, you don't want to connect. You don't want to talk.
Right.
So you have to question yourself.
I do every minute of every day.
And so you have to ask yourself, what do I really want?
Right.
And if I do want to build relationships and I do want to meet new people and I do want to have more friends or find that special someone or land this job or whatever it might be, right? I have to be more open. And here's the key. You want to know what the magic bullet is to that? Is becoming curious in other people.
I think you're right. My producer, Keiko, of this podcast, she is a reality television producer, and she believes everybody has a story to tell, and she can learn something from every single person she encounters. That's such a better outlook, and it's a better way to go through life, is what can this new relationship that I'm just forming, whether it's date one or whether it's a business situation or whether you're just stuck sitting next to somebody at a wedding or, you're waiting for a bus together. What kind of relationship can I build in this moment that will somehow improve not necessarily my life, but my way of thinking? What piece of wisdom might I be able to get from? That's a better way to live, right?
It's such a better way to live. In the way that you get it, though, I really think because I've been there. So I'm naturally an introvert also. And I didn't
Are you?
want to. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to connect with people. I didn't want to have relationships with people. I just wanted to do my own thing, be the lone wolf, and go, and live my life. But you get to the point where it's like, I'm not happy. There's something missing, and I want more. And I've studied it. I've really, really dove into it. And we are curious people. It's hardwired in our DNA. Go watch a baby for 10, 15 minutes and just watch them. Watch how they go throughout a room. They are into everything, right? When we think about that, we have that also. So we have to first things first, get our curiosity back, get our fire back. And what I started doing and the way I started becoming curious in other people, I would make a habit of when I went to the grocery store, I would interact with the cashier. Now that cashier, I would watch them. And I'll just give you one from 2 nights ago, for example. I was I was going through the cashier line. She did not make eye contact with 4 people in front of me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Just scanning. We've all experienced that, right?
Right.
Scanning. I get up there. Hello, how are you? Nothing. Scanning. Hello, how are you? Again. I'm good. Looks up for 1 split second, right back down. Scanning. I love your rings on your finger. She had these gold rings. They were very unique rings, right? They were on her fingers. I'm talking every single finger. Mm-hmm. I go, I absolutely love your rings. And she stops everything. And she looks up at me and she goes, I get these in Sedona. I go to visit my sister in Sedona every single year. Uh-huh. There's a jewelry store there. It's my favorite. I get one a year, every single year. It's my favorite time of the year to go to Sedona. And it puts a smile on her face. Even under the mask, I could tell there was a smile.
Right.
And that's the thing.
And the 2 people behind you are like, come on, let's go.
Well, then, yeah, that. But, exactly. But the benefit is I made her feel good about herself.
Right.
Which made me feel good.
You noticed her as a human being versus a part of the scanning mechanism, which is good.
That attracted me.
Yeah.
That attracted me when I started practicing this, whether it was the Amazon driver, the cashier. That's how you could start building and changing that mindset. Mm-hmm. Is because making other people feel good makes us feel good about ourselves. That's how you be a day maker.
Right. I think so too. And a lot of, especially the men, are listening and they're like, well, we're not supposed to compliment a woman, or we're not supposed to say, well, the ring thing, you're basically drawing attention to her taste and her style, and nobody's going to be offended by that. You compliment bags and shoes and accessories and all that. That's a really good thing, because that's necessarily not just like how they look, but it's who they are, and it's a piece of their personality, and we can hone in on that. And if you are looking to engage with anybody, male or female, that's not a bad way to go about it. That's a cool tie. Where'd you get that? I used to have shoes like that. Something like that, where it's an icebreaker, and you, like you just said, suddenly you're talking about Sedona, and then you're suddenly talking about, you don't know where it's going to go, but you hit that ping pong ball over the net, and hopefully it comes back.
Exactly. Yeah. And think about comedians, stand-up comedians. Who here is from Pittsburgh? And you get 3-4 hands. They're trying to make that connection.